Mr. Bismarck Rwani, the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Directive, says Nigerian exchange rate is expected to appreciate as inflation drops in 2024. Speaking at the recently held Partners Provision of 2024 Economic Outlook session in Lagos, Rwani said inflation is likely to drop in 2024 and could go as low as 17% in 2025. The economist's views on inflation and the trading performance of the Naira comes after Olayemi Cardoso, the country's central bank governor, took a similar position last Thursday. The inflation rate recently hit a record high of 28.2%, indicating a return to the era viewed in 2005. Also on December 10th, the Naira tumbled to an all-time low of 1,099 Naira against the dollar at the country's official exchange rate window. Speaking on the interrelated structure of the global economy, Rwani said Nigeria has a number of international issues that could influence the trajectory of the economy in 2024. With 2023 wrapping up and Nigerians looking forward to the next year, many feel such projection is needed to either give a sense of hope or a sense of what direction Africa's largest economy will look like going into the year. But the big question or the big story for today is what will really be the factors to help drive down an inflation that seems to have spiraled out of control in 2023, hitting its highest ever of 28.02% in November. And many fears the worst for the month of December, that is characterized with a whole lot of inflationary push. And what will such positive projection mean for Nigerians that have had one of the worst years ever economically, due largely to the subsidy removal and foreign exchange rate harmonization? Well, this and more as it concerns the economic projection for next year is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. And we're talking about Nigeria Economic Outlook forecast for 2024. That's what we're looking at today on The Big Story. We're looking at Nigeria's economic outlook and its forecast for 2024. Judging by what the CBN governor, Olayemi Cardoso, said last Thursday, and also looking at the position that was re-echoed by no other person but Bismarck Rwani, a well-renowned economist. But anyway, to help us look at all of these issues and project into next year on what footing we should have and should need to ensure that this happen is our own very economist, and we're talking of no other person but Mr. Gideon Oguns. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, my fellow Nigerians.
Okay, well, let's just go straight to it. Now, sir, when Cardoso, the CBN governor, said it last week, many felt it was just another government avenue to either give hope to a hopeless or hopeless situation Nigerians are facing, or to reduce the anxiety going into next year, which many are already projecting to be something that might be a bit difficult for many Nigerians, judging by our revenue outlook, knowing that our earnings from petrol might drop if we do not do something, or crude will drop if we do not do something fast. But now this statement coming from Bismarck Rwani, many might just have a feeling of hope and believe that, well, okay, maybe for once, we might really have a declined inflation going into next year. And exchange rate naturally, like he said, will appreciate because the exchange rate pass-through starts to slow down. But I'm just a bit curious. What will really make the inflationary rate decline? All I want to know is what will make us believe that things will be better when it comes to the inflation and when it comes to our exchange rate next year. Because he just said it, but anyways, I'm just wondering. And you will not blame me for wondering.
Yeah, no, I'm not blaming you at all. Being optimistic is a fact of life.
Okay.
And realism and actuality are things that we play around data.
Okay.
The position of Bismarck Rwani is supported by data.
Supported by data.
By data. But it's not yet supported by the market. So I want my viewers to understand that data are meant or gathered, analyzed for the purpose of projections. So when these data are put together, synchronized, analysis around, it will give you a particular kind of answer. Okay. And that is what Bismarck is trying to say. Now, what will spread his optimism to that extent? A few things. Number one, the marketing of Nigeria and the form of agreements that have been reached. If you listen to the agreements and you take them on the face value of such agreements, there is high hopes that things will be slightly better or much better than 2023. Two, and which is the seat of the problem, is that we are gradually beginning to wane away the draconic effect of the fuel subsidy removal. That being the fact that fuel was 189, let's call it 200. Today fuel is 700, just for ease of analysis. That tells you that there was a rise of over 300 and something percent. So gradually Nigerians are grappling painfully towards that reality.
Okay.
And so their economic outlook is gradually beginning to stabilize.
Okay, so what you are saying, let me use this cup as an illustration.
Okay.
The water was almost half full.
Okay.
And subsidy was like shaking it.
Yeah.
So what you feel is that is now coming down to settle.
Settle down. Yeah. So now the things that go around. Okay, let me digress to come. Okay. We discovered that the issue of inflation in the economic literature, they are broadly two. The cost pool. Now, what we are having in Nigeria is as a result of the cost of things reflecting in the market prices. So, if that which is making the cost of things to go up, automatically making the price of things to go up, is beginning to settle, then it is possible that prices may not go further up.
Because they've now struck a balance.
So that's what we're trying to say. Why in the other arm, which is the production itself, because the more, the lesser the price. If we begin to take the first item I said, if those agreements actually become reality, the value of production or volume of production is going to increase.
Okay, I might really take you up on there and still believe that our production level has increased. And this is what no other person but Olayemi Kadoso said during the joint section of the National Assembly Committee on Banking, Insurance, and also Financial Institution. And he said that when he appeared on Thursday. And what he said what will bring about a reduced inflation next year is that we seem to have a positive balance of trade in the third quarter of 2023. So he said, which will also lead to an increase in our external reserve that will also be a leading reason for the reduction in inflation come next year. So does it correlate?
Yeah. That's what we've just said exactly the same thing. Okay. The point is, inflation is a causative action. It's something you cause. It don't just come up. And it is driven by two major things. The cost at which that good you want to buy is produced. If it goes up, the price for which you acquire it must go up. The other one is the push, which is the manufacturer. There are factors of production that must be put in for the good to be produced. If that one, any of them, now in Nigeria's situation, the energy subsector have been so bad to manufacturers that the cost, imagine a liter of diesel is over 1,000.
And we've had countless multinationals leaving the shores of this country on account of it.
What it takes in a country where power generation is as low as Bismarck. So 5 megawatts. In a country that wants to be industrialized. So every manufacturer produce power for himself.
Before
and
now,
that is
factor
passed
into
on to the consumer. So if we want to drive inflation downward, then we must look for the drivers of inflation. Once we can arrest, detain, slow down any of the drivers of inflation, it will automatically show up in the price, which is the CPI, Consumer Price Index, by which things are told whether inflation is going up or coming down. So that's what it's trying to say. The second leg of that same action is immediately you are producing more, you expand the economy.
Okay.
More product means more employment.
Yes.
More employment means more persons are taken out of the poverty niche. Now, if more people are earning better salary, then the market woman will sell more. If he sells more, he makes more profit. So
it's just like a chain reaction.
So it's a chain reaction. So that's why all they are trying to say, the third leg of it is, if all this play well, then the cost of the efforts will not be affected, because it's also a driver of inflation. When you import goods, the cost of imports is going to be dependent on the exchange rates. And so the price in the Nigerian market is going to be as a result of how much it was imported. Now, if we produce more here and we don't buy from outside, meaning our exports will now be more than our import. That's why we're talking of a trade balance. So the BOT will now be favorable on one hand, and in the second place, our economy, the naira, the currency, will begin to
appreciate.
So it's
more like a chain reaction, interlinked, all of that. Okay, now, as much as that's more of a cheering news to many Nigerians and more of a good morning relief coming from Quest, telling them that these are the projections and feeling of both Bismarck Ruwani and also the CBN governor.
Before we jump, Mike, there could be a spiral. Okay, now
I'll plead with you to hold on that spiral, because I want you to take on that spiral with my next question. And my next question is both Ruwani and also Cardoso, however, said that inflation would climb further in the early few months of 2024.
The first quarter of 2024.
So they said. And as a result of market changes and the ongoing currency being volatile. And not only that, both of them might really sound as bearers of bad news, which I do not want to be a part of to Nigerians. But my question is, how is Nigerians going to have a difficult first few months? Is quite certain. But as an economist, let's look at what they said. But as an economist, what would be your advice to Nigerians for them to pass the early few difficult months ahead?
Okay.
So it's going to be two questions. Help us understand why it's going to...
It's quite easy.
Okay.
Like we usually say, in economic palace, there is no quick fix. There's no magic word. Things, if you plant corn...
It takes time.
Mike, you must bear the 3 months of you putting your corn on the ground. Then after the 3 months, you are going to go to your farm and come home with a cob of corn. So it is but realism that when you put your corn on the ground, which is what we are doing now economically, we need to tarry, wait, be patient for its fruition
to come to bear.
Yeah. So let Nigerians know that yes, we are sowing now.
Hence the difficulties.
And because we are sowing, there wouldn't be much difference until it becomes a fruit. So that we are saying 2024 is looking a little bit more of a hopeful year is on the fact that in all indices, FDI, bilateral agreements, even in the petroleum sector, the energy sector, I don't want to say petroleum, in the energy sector, in the manufacturing sector, in the non-visible trades. If you check all the condiments of the balance of payments, there are movements northward. positive movements.
Okay.
So, if that continues, it will get to the point, the pinnacle, where the fruits will begin to show. But they won't show
that
in the end of first quarter
of 2024.
Or 2024. For just a little example, no matter what the refineries coming up will do, some of these bookings are done a month ahead.
Yeah.
So, for example, the product that we are going to have in January or February may already be booked now using the current exchange rate.
So it will never reflect.
So that is it. So you can go on and see how these interchanges will take place. But as we begin to rail out, for example, refined products in Nigeria, then the quantum for which January is going to be booked for March is going to reduce until gradually the products in the market will be reflective of what is happening in Nigeria
at that time.
That is why I estimate on my own that inflation may get to about 33%. Yes, about 33%.
In the first quarter?
Yes. And once it's struck at 33, it will slide. And the slide will be rapid. Because we would have gotten used to, we are interfacing or interchanging from being an import dependent to a local source economy. If all other things holds true, in economics we say ceteris paribus. If it holds true, then from the second quarter, most of the things we that have foreign inputs, foreign exchange, would no longer have that quantum. And that will be reflective of the prices of those commodities
in the market. Okay, well, anyway, we need to go on our own market, though, and that means a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion centered on the projections for 2024, more like a forecast for what it will look like, judging with what the CBN governor, Olayemi Cardoso, said on Thursday. And not just only that, but the re-echoing of it again coming from no other but Bismarck Ruwani, saying, well, don't frown yet. You might be smiling come next year. Let's go on a break.